What's going on, everyone? I am out here at the yards today in Ponte Vedra Beach with someone that's pretty special to me. He's my own golf coach. This is David Schmutz, and he's going to talk to us a little bit today about the weird way he became a putting coach for some of the best in the world. All right, David, hello, man. What's going on?
What's going on, man? Good to see you.
It's good to see you. I had a pleasure of having a lesson last week. It is working well, so what you do does work. I think I sent you a text on Sunday that was like, "They hit the fairway."
I love when a plan comes together, so it's wonderful to hear.
Me too. So tell me a little bit about just your journey from where you came from to literally working.
Well, how much time you got? I mean, listen, it's been a journey as a golf professional. I've been a professional for 25 years. I started out playing as a professional, so I turned pro my sophomore year at Florida State. Was playing mini tour events, played with some pretty big names now that you would look back on that. That was kind of cool. Played with Zach Johnson and guys like that in mini tour events. So that was pretty cool. I did that for 6 years. When my daughter was born, that's kind of when I transitioned into full-time coaching. And I've been coaching ever since. So it's been a fun journey, but man, the putting portion has just been out of this world. How I've become a putting coach. It's kind of a weird path.
Let's dig in there. So
okay.
You've gone from player, you know what it's like, especially collegiate, D1, Florida State, man, that's a big deal.
Yep.
Then to play the mini tours, then to coaching, then that's like, it's almost like you're specializing along the way. How'd you get to here?
So I was always known as a really good ball striker. I could hit it with anybody, could not make a putt. Could not make a putt for just about forever. Putting was the thing that kept me from making the PGA Tour. Went to Q school, I could hit it with any one of them, hit plenty of greens, and just couldn't make a putt.
Wow.
And it wasn't until probably about four years ago that everything flipped. My mindset flipped on how putting works.
Okay.
And started diving into that new realm of what I was learning and kind of created a new philosophy. And now if I could put the way 46-year-old Dave putts into 25-year-old Dave, it'd be a little different story right now. A little different story.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
if you would have told me even 10 years ago that I would make it to the PGA Tour as a coach for putting, I would have laughed at you. So there's no way. I can't putt, but I can swing the golf club, so I can teach that. But no, it's pretty wild that now that I got top 15 players in the world asking me for help on putting, that's just wild.
You said something interesting. You said your mind changed on putting.
Yes.
Let's dig into that for a second.
Okay.
What changed?
So it took a while. So I always saw putting as just an extension of the rest of the game. So, for instance, full swing, if you don't hit your target, you had to have done something wrong in your swing.
Okay.
Period, end of story. If you don't hit the fairway, something mechanically broke down in your golf swing to make the ball go offline.
Okay.
So I took that same type of philosophy into putting. If I missed a putt, I must have done something wrong.
Okay.
So I always went down the path of, if I'm constantly missing putts, there must be something wrong with my putting stroke. I'm doing something wrong. And so, I went down a rabbit hole of trying to be absolutely perfectly square. I had God knows how many putters I've tried. It was ridiculous. Oh, God. Yeah, exactly. So as I kept doing that, it never got better. I would have little peaks, but it would spike and then it would completely drop off.
Okay.
And it was just frustrating me until about 3 or 4 years ago, where it got so bad that I was like, I'm done playing because I can't hit the ball any better and I'm not making any putts. What am I going to do? And one night I woke up from a cold sweat of bad putting again and turned on the Golf Channel and I started watching old Golf Channel classics, right? And I'm seeing these dudes from, the 40s, the 50s, and the 60s putting with these little blade putters on terrible greens, and they're making putts left and right. I'm like, how is that possible? So I started diving into their mindsets on how they putted, and then looking into not only them, but all the great putters. And what I found was, if you look through history, all the great putters, none of them have the same putting style. Right? Okay. So it's not a style thing. But the one constant thing that they all had in common was they all talked about speed. Speed was king. Okay, and they all talked about being able to feel the putter head, and they basically were saying make it athletic.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Whereas I think I was trying to make it more mechanical.
I'm guilty of this
Right
now.
And trying to be almost trying to be too perfect with the mechanics that I was losing the athleticism portion.
Okay.
And so, funny enough, I asked a buddy. I woke up the next morning and I asked the buddy, he's like, "Hey, do you have an old blade style 8802 blade?" I was putting with a 2-ball triple track. I mean, everything square.
It was an F16.
Right, correct. I mean, it was just dumb. And he said, "Yeah." I was like, "Hey, can I borrow it?" He's like, "Yep." Next day, I go out and play with it. I take all the lines off my golf balls, playing with an 8802. I go out and shoot 28 for the 9 holes. I made everything. I'm like, I started arcing the putt, like no square, open stance, arcing the putter, like old Crenshaw style putting.
Okay.
And just started draining everything. And I've been putting like that for the last 4 years.
Really?
And I've stopped all kind of thought of mechanics. I don't worry about start line. Okay? I focus all of my time on speed. And I've become a great putter because of changing the mindset and learning how to stay confident. That's the other big piece of this.
Okay. Because that is, in talks I've had with some of the guys in the group, like how confidence is, it's so key, and it's not a technical thing. Technical things don't give you confidence.
No.
Practice does, and you got to know technical things to practice.
Correct.
But that's not what gives you confidence when you bring it to the course.
Not at all.
It's truly just a belief in yourself that, hey, I can do this.
Yes.
And one of the examples I use with them is take someone who's never played the game before. Why do they hit the ball so well sometimes?
Right.
They don't know what not to do, so
Right.
they're not in their way. And that's what I have found across golf. Now I go apply for putting. I'm gonna go change my life right after this is over, because truly, actually, since we worked together, I started hitting fairways, hitting greens. Patrick was with me last week, and I can't get the ball either to the hole or close to the hole. I'm just blowing it.
Right.
And I was straight up I was doing with the putter what we were doing out here with the irons and those things. And at first I was like, okay, it's great. But then I get out there and I'm like, okay, now I don't feel like I'm aimed anymore. I don't know where I'm going. And all of a sudden I'm steering.
Yep.
And okay, so this
You're going down
makes
the
sense.
wrong path.
Okay, so let's talk about this thing. When you work with a pro then, one, what's the biggest difference? What sets an elite putter? Why are they so good?
Elite putter. So let's separate this into categories, because I think there are elite putters on the PGA Tour. There are players on the PGA Tour that can't putt a lick.
Okay.
Right. And then they're still better than amateur putters.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So you got different levels. What makes an elite putter? Couple things. Their speed control is off the charts.
Okay.
But really, the thing that separates them is their ability to maintain confidence.
Okay.
Okay. Great putters always believe they're going to make the next putt, regardless of how many putts they've missed in a row.
Ooh, love that.
Okay. They always believe they're going to make the putt. Now, how do you nurture that? That's where this kind of epiphany came from for me, was when I ask people, amateurs, when they come in for putting lessons, is like, when you're putting well, why do you feel like you're putting well? And the answer is always, well, I'm making putts. Cool, right? Okay, so the second you stop making putts, what happens? Well, my confidence drops. Oh, okay. Well, here's the problem with that. On the putting green, okay, what are we actually putting on? Grass,
Okay.
right? It's an imperfect surface.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you really dive into putting, you can do the 3 elements of every putt that we need. We need to be able to read the putt. We got to be able to start it on that line. We got to be able to control the speed. Those are the 3 elements. You can do all 3 of those perfectly, and the ball still doesn't find the hole.
Very
Why?
true.
Because the surface is imperfect. And the further away from PGA Tour greens we get, the more imperfect that surface becomes.
Exactly.
Right?
Okay.
So even
That
on
makes
theirs,
sense.
they're putting on imperfect surfaces. And think how good their greens are.
Yeah.
Right?
And we're here some of the best in the area.
And,
Right. And they're
still not perfect, right?
Gotcha.
So,
Okay.
in that sense, if we can do all three things correct and the ball doesn't go in the hole, well, that means we're giving up our confidence to something that we have zero control of.
Which is just a result.
Which is
All
just a result.
Results are controlling your life at that
Right.
point.
So
Not anything you can't really.
you can't build confidence off that consistently. Right? So, okay, so how do we build confidence? How did I learn to flip this? Well, I go back to those 3 elements.
Okay.
What can I control? I can control my read, I can control my speed, and I can control my start line. If I've done all three of those to the best of my ability on any given putt, I made the putt, whether the ball went in or not. I can control making
Love
putts. I can't control holding putts.
Making has everything.
Making has everything to do with what I can control.
After it leaves here.
After it leaves here, I have no control.
Love that.
So
Love that.
as long as I've done those three things, my confidence stays high, right? And if I didn't do one of those things, well, now I know what I have to go practice. So it becomes a lot easier. If you're constantly trying to practice to hole putts, your confidence is gonna go down.
So man, I can't say how many times when I'm on the putting green before I go play that I let not hit making putts affect me before I
100%.
get out there.
I was the same way.
And that completely shifts now to just, it really doesn't matter if you make it, it matters how you're hitting.
Sure.
Are you doing the things that you want to do well? All right. Most of the guys that are listening to this, they own a company. How many times do you see the same thing in golf in your company? Where it takes the confidence and still you can have it all and do everything and it still doesn't work out right. Where that employee doesn't work out right, or the deal doesn't work out right, or something outside of your control doesn't work out right, but the part you did well. However, you still beat yourself up for it. If it's not helpful in golf, it's not helpful in business. I promise you, and that's fascinating. One of the reasons why I love golf is it's just this back and forth.
Crossover is amazing.
Okay, so let's dig in. What do you teach the pros? When they come to you, there's, I know you do some classes.
Mhm.
So in the 3 steps, let's talk about reading it. What can we control when we're reading it? What are some things we can use there?
Okay. So I'm a big believer in Aim Point,
Okay.
Aim Point Express. I've been a certified instructor for them for 7-8 years now. Reading greens is always a difficult piece. Traditional green reading, it's all eyes. Let's put it this way: the way our brain concept understands slope and curvature is very similar to how our brains conceive color. Okay. Have you ever tried to color match paint?
Yeah.
Go to the store, it's like, oh, I put a hole in the wall, I got to match this, but I don't have the color. It's XYZ kind of white, and then you show up and there's 57 shades of white.
Okay.
Right, and you're like, oh, it's in this range, and you pick out like 8 of them, and then you get home and none of the 8 are even close. Right.
Yep.
Slope and curve is very much the same way. We see it, it's close, but the memory is not perfect.
Just goes in a range.
Right. So visual it's all about trial and error. You hit a putt, you see the slope, you see it break. Hopefully the next time you see a slope of similar size, you remember that. Right?
Gotcha.
That's why I'm sure some of the guys, when they play their home course, they putt lights out because they've played the greens 1,000 times. They know every break. They don't have to actually read it. They just remember the putt. But then you take them to a different course and they can't read a green.
So that's people's games travel.
Correct.
Like your game travels or doesn't.
Doesn't.
Your
Because
green
your green
reading
reading.
ability.
Correct.
Oh,
Correct.
there we go.
Correct. Right. Aim Point's a little different. Aim Point takes away the visuals and we go straight to basically a mathematical formula.
Okay.
Mark Sweeney developed it. He's a super smart guy. He figured out that we can feel slope with our feet. Okay. It's very easy to train that. Everybody kind of freaks out in the beginning saying, oh, I can't feel slope. Everybody can feel slope. They've just never learned how to quantify that slope.
Okay.
We teach you how to do that. It's very, very simple. And then from there, there's a little, you see the guys using the fingers, that turns that feel of slope in percent into a visual read.
Okay.
You don't have to remember what a slope looks like. You feel it, hey, it's a 2%, you put 2 fingers up, it shows you right where to aim.
Okay.
It turns you into a tour level green reader in a couple hours. Versus
It's like shortcut.
it's
just
a big shortcut.
Basically, it's a
big
framework
shortcut.
to read
Yes.
greens.
Yes.
Very interesting.
Much quicker to becoming a high level green reader than the old traditional trial and error. Yeah, so I'm a big believer. That Aim Point is huge. That's why you're seeing so many tour players switch to it, and if they're not doing it, they've got their caddies doing it.
Yeah.
I actually have a lot more caddies that I'm teaching doing it than just the tour players.
Really? That's very interesting. Why do you think that is?
So I think some of it is the stigma of Aim Point. You got
Gotcha.
some of these guys, oh, I don't like them standing over my line, so the tour player doesn't necessarily want to do it,
Gotcha.
but he likes knowing that his
Yeah.
caddy can get in there and do it for him. So
Shoes
that
are a little flatter. Just
Yeah, right.
Get
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah, you don't got any spikes, so you'll be fine. So I think that there's a little bit of stigma to that, and I think that's why you're getting a lot of caddies reading it that way for them. But it's almost the best of both worlds, right? Tour players got their without doing aim point.
Yep.
So they trust their eyes, but having a caddy that has a mathematical formula on their back end to come in and verify that
Exactly.
helps a lot too.
Exactly. Because that got me thinking. So I prior to my speed issues I'm going through, I do consider myself a pretty good putter or a pretty good green reader. I feel like I can see it. So if someone that already feels like they're a good green reader, what I like about this is this has zero to do with that. This is a science of how to read things.
Correct.
So if you feel you're already good at it, this is basically just bullets in the belt. If you take it to the green, you should actually exponentially get better.
Yeah.
Right.
I think so. I think that's why I'm getting a traction on with the tour players is because I
Exactly.
don't teach it as you have to do this all the time. I teach it as it's another toolbox in your tool, right?
Mhm.
So use that.
Use it.
Trust. If you want to use your eyes, use your eyes. But if you're confused, now you've got another tool to go back to and give you another way to read this green, right? So that was one of the big things with Russell Henley. Is like, dude, your eyes are really good, but you're gonna find putts that you're confused over. Now you can go aim point express on those putts and see if it gives you a
Ooh.
more confident read if you're confused by what you see. So
Key
it's
word
just
there, because if confidence is what holds putts, and you feel like you can't read it, then the one thing you for sure don't have is confidence.
Yeah.
Having another arrow to pull out and be like, all right, how do I get side? Now you're back over the ball.
Correct.
Makes complete sense.
Correct.
And now you even see why it's so important to the pros, because if they feel that, we exponentially feel it.
Yep, 100%.
When we're
100%.
playing our weekend rounds or whenever we're playing. Man, that makes complete sense. Okay. I think we're getting close to our timeline here. So let me ask you this. If someone wanted to work with you, how do we do it?
Best way is just go through the website, davidschmutzgolf.com. You can contact me there. You'll see packages, stuff, all that. It's all right there. That's the easiest place. I'm out here at the yard 6 days a week, so there's plenty of time to come see me anytime.
Excellent. Excellent, man. All right, brother. Thank you so much for doing this.
It was a blast.
Had a great time. Thank y'all.
Thank y'all.
We'll see you on the next one.